present to others. Kelsey, how are you, love?
I am very well. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
We are super excited to have you. And
Yes.
it's amazing on our spotlight segment today. We're going to spotlight you and your amazing book that you're about to release. With that being said, could you be so kind and just let the listening family know um, a little bit about yourself before we get started? A little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background, and then we're going right into what we're on today for the spotlight. This amazing new release.
Okay. Well, my name is Kelsey Huntley. I'm 29 years old. I live in Georgia. Um, a little bit about me. I'm from the Wild Church. My pastor is Pastor Yolanda Kirkendall. I was born and raised in Orlando, Florida. I've had a lot of series of events that have happened to me in my younger life, and it kind of led me up to this point of living here in Georgia and being under the tutelage of my awesome pastor. Um, my release of my book, I just released it probably about last month. This is my book. It's called I Survived. Um, it's basically talking about the first half of my life growing up, and I was a pastor's daughter. I was adopted, and I was also sexually abused. So it's like a series of different things that have happened to me throughout my life and how I overcame it. The release of the book, it was intense just writing it and everything, going through the process, because a lot of people don't know, and so releasing the book is shedding light on my truth, and so I'm sharing my truth with everybody, so that's why I'm here.
Wow. And you know what's funny how they say don't judge a book by its cover. And another
Yeah.
saying we say in the church is we don't look like what we've been through. And I can
Yes.
tell you that is you. I
Yeah.
mean, as meek as you look,
Yes.
as humble, and you look so innocent. You look like,
Yeah.
the sweetest things,
Yeah.
the sweetest thing since peach cobbler. And
Oh.
nobody would know that
Yeah.
you have survived such something so traumatic.
Yes.
Again, the book is called I Survived, correct?
Yes.
And we're in this particular book that you God is giving you the ability to pin down some of the things that you survived, if without giving the audience too much, because I say, they be hustling, don't want to
Yeah.
pay, they be bootlegging,
Yeah.
and I want them to. It's not so much about paying, but why not seed into someone that is going to not only let you have a peek into their life and how they
Mhm.
survive, but have
Mhm.
some nuggets on how, if you are dealing with something traumatic, we pay for
Mhm.
Starbucks coffee, we pay for, McDonald's, we pay for all these different things. I'm not knocking them, so don't inbox me, email me saying that there's nothing wrong with those things. But why
Right.
not invest in something that can impact our life and help us through the
Yeah.
minefields of life? So, with that being said, if you can just give us a little bit about what are you covering in there in I
Mm.
Survived? What is some of the methods, or are you chronically showing some things that happen? Are you giving some tips? Just give us a little bit about I
Mm.
Survived.
Okay. Um, I'm basically uncovering my story through my eyes, and
Hmm.
it's kind of through the windows of my own eyes, because everybody else can see it a different way, but it's different when it's your own story. And so it's through the eyes of myself and how I had to cope, and how I felt alone. And, you know, during that time, I always knew God was leading me and guiding me through, like in the book, there's different people that I've met and the paths that I've crossed. And it was like, that was always God. I always knew God was there. And so in the book, it kind of shows just my hope was still there. My determination was still there, even through just the events that I've been through. It shows that I also have a chapter on what to look for, even when being sexually abused, like the signs that you can show, even with being lonely. Um, if you act a certain way around a certain person, just to look for those type of signs, because a lot of people overlook it, and a lot of people feel like they're the only person. And this book is to let you know that you're not the only one. I've been through this too, and I'm sure there's some people out there that have been through much worse, but they can identify, in the book with that. That's
With your
me.
story. They
Yeah.
can identify with your story. And when you said the signs, not only are there signs that it's per se, if I'm a parent, there may be some signs I can see in my child
Right.
that is saying help, you
Right.
know, saying help. Certain people come around, they may be they may act out differently, and it's for us to understand this, to not just be so, well, that's nothing, but there could be signs
Right.
that the child is letting you know in their own way without saying specifically, Joe
Right.
is touching me or Sue is touching
Right.
me. They're
Right.
showing you by the signs. Now, without again giving too much of the nuggets, because I want to encourage them, to the listening family, to actually
Mhm.
purchase and sow into your life, and sow
Right.
into the revelation of um, your experience. But with that being said, what are some of the things that some of the signs you were talking about that you displayed, or you were showing or acting out
Mhm.
because of this trauma?
Some of the signs, because I was very quiet
Hmm.
and I didn't say much, and that was a sign that I didn't say much. And nobody really cared to really notice because they thought that's just how I was. I was just quiet. But if you actually talk to me, get to know me, I'm not, I can talk, but yeah, but it's just during that moment, I kind of put a shell over myself and was like, I'm not going to say anything. And if somebody was actually paying attention, they would know that that's not normal for a child to just always, I was always in my room, I was always to myself. Um, at home, I was. When I was around friends at school, I was more open, I was a social butterfly. So it was kind of night and day. So if you actually knew who I was, you would know that's not the same person that I see at your house, and that's the person that's in school. So for me, the sign was I shut down, and I found my outlet because I felt like I didn't have nobody to talk to. I found my outlet through writing. And that's kind of how I started writing poetry. I have some poems in my book. And I kind of started writing to kind of find my way out. And that was my expression. And during that time, um, it was kind of difficult because when you don't have a way to express yourself, the way that you are can be get taken um, differently. I used to be very quiet, timid to myself, and that was just taken as, oh, she just doesn't want to be around people, which no, I was really crying out for help. So that was
Wow.
one of my, yeah, that was one of my things of crying out for help, was just shutting down and not saying anything.
Wow, wow. For those that just tuned in, you have tuned into Life Transitions with Coach Robin, and we actually are having um, a special segment in the spotlight. It's our spotlight segment, but it's a special
Mm.
spotlight segment because
Yes.
we have an amazing author, a young African American female author who has took the faith of walking out, being transparent about her story. And the book, the amazing book, is called I Survived. And Kelsey is here with us, giving us just a little bit, because y'all not gonna bootleg off of her, just a little bit of some of the amazing, I want to say, insight from trauma, and being able to survive in such a traumatic, after dealing with such a traumatic, if I get the words out right, traumatic situation. And in her case, it was, I would say, being molested. Is that what you would say? Rape, molested?
Yeah, rape, yeah. Mm-hmm. For so long, I made it seem like it was okay, like it wasn't that bad. I used to say molested, but if I think about the situation, it was rape, and I wanted to give it a softer word because I didn't want to believe that my situation was that bad, you know. So I kind of put it in the back of my mind, oh, it wasn't that bad. But you know, when you actually sit there and think about the actual event that took place, like you realize, like, yes, that's actually what it was. So for a
Wow.
very long time, I kind of softened what it actually was to make myself feel better, because I did feel guilty. And that was another thing that I talked about in my book, is feeling guilty, and it's not your fault, because a lot of people do feel guilty of not speaking up about the situation. And for me, that was one of the things that I've dealt with, of just trying to make it like it was not that bad, not that of a situation, to make myself feel better. Yeah.
Exactly. And not only that, like you said, if you've isolated yourself, you've told yourself, it wasn't that bad. Rape is such a, it is what it is a violent,
Right.
a violent act. And um, I can see or see someone in that situation who,
Right.
depending on the person who's doing it, doesn't want them to be put in a bad light. No, on top of you dealing with your own, trying to figure out how to
Right.
get out of your own, cloud. With that being said,
Mhm.
you said that it was, we'll say you were raped. Now, you mentioned your parents being pastors. Um, Without giving out too much information, was it someone that was close in the ministry? Who actually violated you at that young age?
It was somebody that was in my house.
Oh, wow. So actually where you
Yeah.
were living.
Hmm. Yes.
Wow. And daily you had to see this individual.
Yes. Hmm.
Wow. I'm telling you, again, family, when you talk about not judging a book by its cover, this girl, I'm telling you, you would never
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
The way you
Yeah.
smile, got that beautiful smile. Every time I see you, you would never believe behind that beautiful smile was a survivor of trauma, of a violent act. And then on top of that, was someone that was in your home. So being that they were in your home, I mean, I just need to understand, how were you able to, again, survive
Right.
being in the same home with this individual?
Right. Um, it's kind of crazy. I just thought about one of the chapters in my book, not giving out too much, but it's called The Monster in My Room. And
Wow.
I remember I had wrote something saying the monster in my room became the monster in my mind, and something like that. But it was just so like woe to me, because it was true. I felt like it was something I had to conquer. It was a monster, and I felt like I was trapped. It was in my house, and I didn't have nowhere to go. I was young, you know, you just can't leave, you know what I'm saying? Can't just
Yeah.
leave home. So I literally felt trapped. I didn't know what to do. And then at the same time, My feelings were mixed. I had mixed emotions of the whole situation, because of who the person was. You know, you kind of feel like this person is supposed to love me, and then at the same time, that's the only love that you've gotten, or the only love that you've known. So it was a two-sided thing. And I know a lot of people don't talk about that, but that was one of the emotions that I felt, and that's the reason why I did feel guilty, because of the emotion that I had at that moment. And so it was like a tug of war of trying to get out of this situation, because I'm like, okay, well, do I want this or do I not want it? So it was tough, and it was a lot of mind battles, within myself, and trying to get through it, and not trying to feel like, this is my fault. So.
Exactly. You didn't said something that was that just resonated with me. Um, when someone is young and vulnerable and again doesn't understand just the levels of what they've been like open to, they have now
Mhm.
this level of sexuality has been open to them. So being that the
Right,
reality is we are sexual beings,
right,
but when somebody opens it to you, I can imagine that it can be, conflicting,
right.
because at one moment it's like, well, it's not that bad, and da 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 da, because you're being open to something that
Mhm.
God made to be pleasurable,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, and then on the other
Mhm.
hand, you're like, you know, it's not right.
Mhm.
So what would you say to someone that may be finding themselves there at that place, like they're in the situation, they're being exposed to something that part of their mind is saying, well, I'm not being stabbed. I'm
Right.
not being,
Yeah.
it's somewhat beat.
Mhm.
Um, and it feels like it feels pleasurable in a sense, but at the same time, your other side of your mind is saying it's wrong.
Right.
So what would you tell somebody that's stuck like you were in that situation that's dealing with these
Mhm.
conflicting thoughts?
I would tell them that you're not wrong for how you feel. Because I know people are made to feel shame because you have those feelings, but you are a human being, and that's a natural feeling. I know at that point I was confused on what it was supposed to be, and I had to kind of relearn through a process. It's not an overnight thing, because especially when you go through something like that, you kind of have to relearn the
The
whole
proper
process of.
way. Yeah,
Exactly, because you were taught something else, so you have to kind of rewire yourself, and that's where God comes in, because that's what God had to do for me. But I would tell them that it's not wrong the way you feel. I would tell them to kind of go through the process of figuring out what it is that is the right way for you. And that can mean a series of things, of going to counseling, talking to your pastor or somebody that you trust. You kind of have to talk it out, because you can't keep those things inside, because you're going to go crazy. So,
exactly.
yeah, so I think it's not wrong. I don't think it's wrong in any way of trying to figure out what it is. Even if you have those feelings and they're there, you have to figure out how to, get through them and get to the right feelings. So it's a process, and it's layers that you have to go through. It's not overnight.
Uh,
It's not an overnight
it,
process.
it's not overnight, but I
Yeah.
love the fact that you emphasize the fact that the normal feelings that a person has, they don't have to be ashamed by it.
Right.
They don't have to be, feeling shunned, or
Mhm.
they don't have to back away. Um,
Mhm.
but it's important to, like you said, get the help, be it a
Mhm.
counselor, be it a pastor, be it a friend. Open up, open your mouth.
Right.
um, that's where your healing will begin. Um, Begin to pray, begin to, seek God and direction and guidance.
Mhm.
Again, not being ashamed to open up. and
Yes.
say, God, this is what's going on, even though we know he know all things, but he loves to hear us dialogue with him.
Right. Yes.
Um, Also, I want to shift and even give them an opportunity to hear more about you, the person. We're hearing about the author. Um, is there anything else you would want to say to the listening family, and encouraging them to pick up this book and sow this, if not in their own lives, but someone else's life? What else would you say that it would compel them to say, you know what, I really need to pick this book up? I survived.
Um, I think I survived is for anybody, no matter what age, how old you are, no matter what you've been through in life. Because it's not just for traumatic situations, it's kind of just for encouragement.
Mm,
And in the book, like, I don't just end the book with just tragic, like, every chapter ends with um, just how I got through it. It doesn't end in tragedy. It ends with, this is how I got through this. And so I think it's for anybody. If you need encouragement in any area of your life, if you just read this book, it's an enough encouragement to get you through anything. And I've had people that have reached out to me and they've read the book in one sitting. It's not a long book. It's short, to the point, but also complex with, my story in there. But I think that it's good to read it because you never know somebody's story just by looking at them. You just never know who you're standing next to, and I've gotten people that tell me like, "This is you in this book." Like, I didn't. That don't look like you or sound like you. So you just never know, and so it's encouragement to know that you're just not the only one.
exactly. A good book for anyone that is looking for encouragement. A good book for someone that is
Yeah.
in a place of wondering, I've been overlooked, I've been rejected,
Mhm.
and just to know
Yeah.
that somebody has overcome, that we still can overcome. We still can
Right.
survive. No
Right.
matter what life throws our way, it's another testament to
Mhm.
show that God is still in the business of bringing his people out of
Yes.
whatever the situation is. God will bring you out, and you too
Absolutely.
can survive. You too can survive. No matter what the enemy meant for evil, the Bible makes it clear, whatever the enemy meant for evil, God has the
Yes.
ability, family, to
Yes.
turn that thing around for your good. Now, listen, we got this book, this amazing book about how you have survived, how to encourage others to survive. Um, so, guys, before we even move to that, you got to give them the information where they can actually get your book.
Okay. My book is on Amazon. Well, the actual full name of the book is called "I Survived: My Story and How I Overcame." I don't know if you
Love
guys can
it.
see that. You have to type the whole thing in, and it'll pop up. But it's on Amazon. I have a website, kelseyhuntley.com. The link is on my website as well, so you can find it on both places, and it'll lead you to Amazon.
Awesome. And your social media hooks, what are those?
Yes, I have my Facebook, Kelsey Huntley, and then also my Instagram is Kelsey Huntley as well.
Awesome. Listen, folks,
Yes,
don't sleep on it.
yes,
I'm telling you, with this, I'm serious with this
yes,
pandemic,
yeah,
all that has been going on, racial tension,
yeah,
to be able to have something that is substance
right,
to
yes,
encourage, inspire during this time where people are losing jobs and people are going through all
yeah,
kinds of, um, it feels like they're going through so much backlash, and they feel like they're going 500 steps backwards and then one step forward. It's a trying time financially
it
for some
is.
people. It's trying time mentally, physically for people, and to be able to read something that says, now listen, This young baby here can make it through.
Mhm.
And God has given her the keys to survive. God knows if he can do it for her, sure enough, he can do it for me.
Yes.
And we need to encourage people, that they can survive. Now, I want to give them opportunity also to hear a little bit more about what you got coming up, what's going on, what's in the oven, what you got cooking. Listen, that they can be on the lookout for.
Yeah. I am working on a few projects, trying to juggle because I work full time. But I do want to start my second book. Um, I want to start that on adoption. So that will
Wow.
be my experience with being adopted and, my journey, because I'm still on a journey of trying to find my birth parents.
Wow.
Um, yeah, yeah. So that is something I do want to start. I also, it's been heavy in my spirit, mental health. Um, I really, because I've been going through my own process, and I do want to do like a documentary on the process, even going through traumatic experiences, on the importance of mental health, and how you have to, of course, spiritual is key, but then mental health is also, it goes hand in hand. You have to take care of your mental state. So I do want to have a documentary released on that as well. I'm working on that. It's in the works. So that's something in the future that I'm working on. Yeah.
Wow, I love that. Now you just said
Yeah.
something. Lord have mercy. Now, when we talking about the trauma, we talking about the molestation, the rape.
Mhm.
Um, when you said
Mhm.
you were adopted, now, do you think that played a factor when you were adopted? You were adopted in the family. Was this individual not a blood relative?
No, not blood.
That person was not a blood relative.
No, no, still wasn't blood.
Okay. And
Yeah.
in your research, because I know not that I'm saying blood relatives don't, because they do, but
Right.
I'm in your processing this process with this person that was in the home with you. My question is, were you able to reconcile with them and be able to move forward and um and somewhat have a relationship, or was it so toxic that you just had to be, for your own health, mental health, you had to just be done with the whole
Mm.
entire relationship?
Um, I think for me, I don't really have a relationship with the person. Um, I had to go through a process of kind of forgiving, and it was toxic. That's why for a period of time I had to kind of pull way back, because um, the person was somebody that I really wanted to keep the relationship open with because of who they were. But I found out that it was more toxic for me to try to keep that relationship open and then try to heal all at the same time.
At the same
So I
time.
yes, I had to kind of pull back and kind of find myself and heal. The relationship isn't there, but I forgave them, and if there is a conversation that they want to have, I don't mind, I'll have it, but I think I've moved past that point, what I'm saying, as far as having a conversation of that caliber. What I'm saying? I feel like I am beyond what happened. I'm more in a different place in my life. So I feel like it wouldn't affect me either way, so
Exactly. And has this
yeah.
person ever was remorseful or ever reached out and
Mm,
said, I'm sorry? Or you have just
mm,
made up in your mind to be at peace with
mhm.
with forgiving them, because we know forgiving the person is really for us than
Right.
it is for them. It's not like
Yeah.
we forgive them for our own peace.
Right.
And so for you in your case, did that person ever, being that they were in the home considered to be family, did they ever say sorry or was empathetic or anything in that nature?
They were remorseful to a certain extent. Um, I don't believe the words "I'm sorry" came out of their mouth, but it there was some type of remorse. Um, I kind of accepted, what they gave, and kind of move forward, because I feel like sometimes people just don't know how to. Um, Sometimes people don't know how to give what they don't have. And so
True.
that's kind of, what I took from it. Like, okay, maybe there wasn't a need for a long explanation, so that chapter is closed, and I know God did that for a reason with me, because I would have kept looking for an answer, like why, I would have kept trying to look for it and reopen a band-aid that should have been covered, so they had remorse, but I took it for what it was and moved forward.
Okay. Okay. Um, One more question, and well, yeah, in regards to that, because you
Yeah.
mentioned mental health, and I know mental health in regards to trauma and making sure we're healthy and we process things properly and we're not avoiding it, because of course um, it becomes a monster. You were talking about a
Right.
monster. Literally, if you don't deal with your mental health, in itself it can become a monster.
Yeah.
Um, my question is, in the case of this individual, did at any point did you feel the need that there needed to be a higher um, level of consequences, like involving authorities or um, anything of that at that nature, or at that point when you got older, you kind of were like, I'm just going to move forward, or did you feel like it was this person would maybe do this to someone else, and you felt the need to um, contact authorities or anything in that nature?
Mhm. I well, I had the opportunity to press charges when I was in school. I have a story in my book talking about that moment, and I said no. And at the time, they asked me because I was 18 years old, so it was up to me if they couldn't just
Hmm.
take him or whatever. So at the time, I was scared. I didn't want to lose family, or I didn't want my family to split apart because of the situation. So I kind of thought about everything that was around me instead of
Yeah. And now, do you
myself.
regret that now? Do you have any regrets, or you're like, no, I'm happy with
Mm,
my decision?
I don't think I have any regrets. I feel like things would have been much worse if I probably would have done that. Like things would have hit the ceiling for real. So I think it was best that it didn't happen,
Hmm.
at that time. So I don't feel like I should have, only because I feel sorry. I don't have a sense of rage and anger, like take them away. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
have that in my heart. So it's like I more so feel sorry for the person. I I don't want the person to just, die or just, burn up in flames. Like I just it's more so I feel bad for this person because I know this person is suffering. I just don't, I already know it. So it's more so you seeing a person suffer rather than trying to get revenge. like which is worse, to see them suffer. So I mean, I already know that God has already handled it. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Wow. For those that just tuned in, you have tuned into Life Transitions with Coach Robin. And listen, we've had a special guest during a
Mhm.
special time during our spotlight segment. We have Kelsey on the line. Is amazing young woman author who has an amazing book that is titled "I Survived." And I'm telling you, her story is riveting, and just the level of um, looking at her, what we would say in church, she don't look like what she's been through. B, just to have the level of compassion that she has and empathy, even this day, for the person that um, the enemy used to really, derail her. Um, but to have that kind of compassion, that really shows that she walks with the love of Christ in her heart, to want, not looking for revenge, not looking for, anything but peace, and to be able to inspire somebody else that who has been raped, molested, rejected, betrayed,
Yeah.
going through some type of traumatic experience. She just wants to share the story just to encourage. And that in itself is, I mean, amazing for a young woman to have collected her thoughts and collected her mind to say, it's not about revenge, it's about using my story of how I survived to inspire and to uplift someone else that may be in a traumatic situation. So before I hate to see, I know family, we hate to depart, we hate to close our amazing conversation. But again, just to reiterate, would you please let the listening family know where they can get I Survived and how they can connect with you, because you have amazing spirit. And I know you said you got a book in the oven and some amazing projects. And I want them to be able to keep up and connect with you. So if you can, again, give that information.
Yes, my book, you can find it on Amazon, Amazon.com. Just type in "I Survived," my story on how I overcame. You type that exactly and it should pop up, Kelsey Huntley. And then you can follow me on my social media, Facebook, Kelsey Huntley, and also Instagram is Kelsey Huntley as well.
Well, Kelsey, it's been amazing. I thank you
Yes,
so very much, and
thank
taking
you for
this
having me.
opportunity to share with the listening family, Coach Robin listening family, and to be so transparent. And what I love to, again, to emphasize that you are not just talking it, but you're walking how you can survive. You can survive with
Yes,
not just barely come making it, but survive with joy in your heart and forgiveness in your heart. I mean, it's that in itself is amazing. So many people are stuck. So many people are in institutions because they have not
right,
been able to survive. You
right.
know, they're stuck, but God has given you the ability. And I believe when those listening family read the book, they will be able to get the inspiration to know that they can survive as well. If she can do it, I can do it. And I thank you for taking the time out of your
Thank
busy
you.
schedule to be a
Yes.
part of us on tonight. I thank you so very much. So, family, please, please, I need you guys to really support. Um, and this, so if it's Christmas before, I'm telling you, Christmas is around the corner. I know it's August, but trust me, Christmas is around the corner. Begin
Yes.
getting some gifts. Um, with this pandemic and all that's going on, trust me, people need to be uplifted. People need to be
Mm,
encouraged. People need to know they can survive the pandemic and come out on the
absolutely.
other side. Because
Yes.
listen, The
Yeah.
way things look, people can be very discouraged. But just to
Mm,
be able to put something in somebody's hand and say, baby, read this.
mm,
Listen, what you're going through is nothing compared to this.
right.
This will
Mm,
inspire you to hold
right.
on. Hold on to God's unchanging hands. Because if He can do it for one, He will do it for you. Listen, I'm just excited tonight. Before we go, I want my family to see what I'm spotlighting over here from me. I'm spotlighting tonight my book, Pearls, the Core Uniqueness of a Woman. Again, you can get that too on Amazon. You can type that in. Um, you can get on my personal website, Pastor Robin's website, and also I'm spotlighting your perfect t-shirt that goes along with the book. So again, all on my website as well. Please, guys, keep connected with Coach Robin. You can find me on Twitter at Coach Robin J, Instagram Live with Coach Robin, Facebook Live Radio, Life Transitions with Coach Robin. And yes, guys, keep the emails coming. Listen, email me at coachrobinj@gmail.com. And before we close the office, I got to give y'all my favorite verse. My favorite verse is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you.
Life
Plans to give you
transitions
hope and a future.
Coach Robin. Life
See you next Friday. Back to our regular time. We'll see you Friday at 9 p.m.
No matter what you're going
God bless everyone, and thank you for tuning into Life Transitions, where we champion life transitions together. God bless you. Thank you, sis. Love you.
Thank you.